Hello there, how are you doing? So we did prepare our HTML, we did prepare our CSS. Now it's time to write some JavaScript. Okay, have we linked index.js? Yes. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is obviously begin with this jQuery document ready function, right? So let's do that. Document ready, and this takes a function, and within this function we write our entire application. Okay, that's great. Now, so what do we do? The first thing, we need the URL, right? So let's store this URL in this URL variable. Okay, so the URL we're going to use is this Hacker News API provided by Algolia Search. So we do this one, algolia.com slash version 1, and the source query is JavaScript. Okay? So that is the URL. Now this URL could be anything else. It could be if you have a build backend using PHP or some other programming language, you have your own server that is sending the JSON data. You can take that, you can do all sorts of things. Okay, so we are targeting this API or this URL. Now we use this dot get JSON method to make the AJAX call. Okay, dot get JSON, and we supply the URL as a first parameter, and second parameter is a function. Now when it makes the AJAX call, it gets the data, the callback, and we use that. For example, let's give it a try. See in the console what we get. Once we make the AJAX call, we get this. So let's see what we get here in the console. Okay, we get the object and it contains hits. Awesome. Okay, that's great. We got the data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's leave the console here. So let's get all the codes and put in a variable. Okay, so variable quotes equals to, by the way, I told you the original idea was to build this application as a quote of the day, but because it's easier to use this API, we're using this one. But yeah, so the quotes, in other words news, right, is the one that we get data, and we're interested in the hits, not the data itself. So this data.hits contains this array of 20, as you can see the array literally here. Okay, so this array contains 20 objects. Okay, so that's what we're interested in. So data hits, awesome. So this is all the codes, and I also want to do create a separate variable to store the current code. Okay, current code, and this one is empty at the moment. Now we need to loop through each of these codes, right? For example, let's see the console, like codes. Let's say if I want to get the first one, okay, and let's say first one style. Let's see if it works, just for testing. Okay, yeah, so we get the first style. Awesome. We don't need to actually iterate through each of the data. We just want to show the random news, right? Not by one, not like we want to do the first one and then second, and when the people click on show me, you get third and fourth. That's not how we want. We want the random news. Okay, news of the day. So random news. So for that reason, we don't need to actually iterate through that. We just use this formula using the math random. Okay, so let me target this button. So this button, what do we name it? This button, we named it read, right? Okay, give it now read. So let's target that dot read, and when it's clicked on method, we can pass two arguments. One is the event, what sort of event. Now in this case it is a click event, and in this event what do you want to do? We want to do is we write in a function. Now on this click, what we want to do is we want to create the current code. Currently it's empty. Now based on this code's data we have, we want to generate. Okay, so what we want to do is first current code, and I'm going to add some value to it. So what I'm going to do is take this codes array. So I have the entire data collection. Okay, so take that, and just like we accessed using console log 0, that is a manual way. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to access in the same way, bracket notation, but I use a math random method. Okay, it's pretty cool. So math random, it generates random number. So in times it can be 1, in times it can be 10, it can be 20, right? But we have only 20 items, so if it is returning like more than that, it makes a problem. So what we do is math random multiply by the code's length. So in this case the code's length is 20. Okay, so it will never return more than 20. In fact, if you have a look on the math random, for example, we can even write it down here. Var m equals to math random. If you do, as you can see, what math random does is it generates the floating point number, but between 0 and 1. So it can be 0, but it will not be 1, it will be less than 1. So always it will be in between 0 point something to less than 1. Okay, so that's how it works. That's the reason why we multiplied with the code's length. Okay, so code's length is 20, so it will never be 20 because it will never be 1. It will always be less than 1, maybe 0.99. Okay, so it will be always less than 1. So when we give codes.length, it will never be 20. It will be 19 point something. So when we get something like that, what we can do is we can wrap it in the math flow method. Okay, math flow. If it is 20 point something, it will just return 20. Codes, we get the random codes, which will be point something decimal. That's why we multiply with the code's length, and then we use math flow to flow down. There is math ceiling and there is math flow. There are two methods. We're using the math flow, which will give us the lower value. Math ceiling will give us the higher value. Okay, so math flow, math random multiply by the code's length. Okay, simple as that. Now we can even console log here. Console log current code. Okay, so on click, when the button is clicked, we see this random code. Okay, so let's give it a try. Okay, it takes some time to load the data from the API, and as you can see, now we get yarn, a new package manager. Okay, next one. Okay, we're not getting the random codes. So what we did is we just wrapped the math random. What we need to do is we have to wrap up to here the code's length as well. So because math random need to multiply the code's length. Okay, so you have to make sure it is fully inside this parenthesis. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, show me. This time we get the state of JavaScript in 2015. Next time we get a different title. The next time we get different. Awesome. So we have loaded the data from the API, and we also have generated the random code on each link. Right, that's great. The next step would be to simply add this to the H1. Okay, so we do that in the next video. See you in the next video.